Chex work. It's one of the oldest professions on earth. It's been villainized and glamorized. No matter where you fall on the approval meter, you can't deny that Chex sells. Consumers are obsessed with it. So why is it frowned upon when the act is transactional? From hamburgers and reality TV to OnlyFans and the White House, the commodification of Chex is a booming industry, especially in a Chex-negative society, where the topic is taboo. Today we talk all about Chex work, including the rise of adult content creators, decriminalization efforts, and how Chex practitioners can heal trauma. Chex work. It's everywhere, on adult websites, in local establishments, and in the privacy of your own home. The Chex industry is so prevalent these days that most American voters don't think it should be a crime to buy or sell adult services. Despite popular attitudes, transactional Chex is illegal, except in certain parts of Nevada and Maine, which partially decriminalized the taboo commodity in 2023. In the US, Chex work as means of survival is on the rise, especially online, as 38% of households struggle to make ends meet. In 2022, consumers spent over $5 billion on explicit content hosted by OnlyFans. The subscription-based social media platform allows adult content makers to sell not safe for work photos, videos, and live streams. In the gig economy, it's another avenue for people to supplement their income, like a Missouri school teacher who joined OnlyFans to help pay off her student loans. Her salary as a teacher paid just $42,000 per year. But after 6 months on OnlyFans, she was earning almost $1 million and was able to pay off her debt. Today, she's no longer a teacher. She resigned due to the stigma of working in the Chex industry. And also, doing so can get you barred from working with minors. Many adult content producers say they feel safer engaging in virtual Chex work because there's no physical contact with buyers. While immediate risks to physical safety are removed in the digital world, other risks remain, like doxing and public shaming. So if you're thinking about becoming an adult content creator, make sure you weigh the pros and cons.
Yeah, so I have a friend that started an OnlyFans in the last couple of years, and it definitely changed her life. The financial thing has led to more money and, more friends in the industry that she's hanging out with and looking like she's great and having a great time all the time. But the downsides I've learned is that, when sex is your job, it's apparently not as fun anymore.
It's a little bit that she's desensitized to it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, what's interesting is these people are sharing their energy, their bodies, their emotions with people, but in a way they almost have to disconnect because they're not in a relationship with their clients. So they have to kind of disconnect while their clients might be connecting to their own bodies. A lot of Chex workers are just checking out. Well, just like your friend Tyson, some people have the privilege of entering the Chex industry by choice. They often view their decision as a form of empowerment and a path to financial freedom. But not everyone consents to working in the industry. Human trafficking is a major problem, and its victims include adults and children. The conversation about decriminalizing Chex work often focuses on how it could impact victims of trafficking. Supporters say legalization would protect workers from abuse, reduce crime, improve public health, increase tax revenue, and give consenting adults bodily autonomy. Opponents say decriminalization will make it harder to prosecute human traffickers. And moderates say partial decriminalization is best since it would make selling Chex acts legal but not buying them, which would essentially protect workers. Either way, it's a contentious issue that legislators are working to address.
So what are some of the reasons that people hire Chex workers?
Well, people buy Chex for all kinds of reasons. Some do it because they don't want a relationship, but they still want physical intimacy. Others do it for novelty, and some do it because they like exploring their bodies in a transactional environment where everything has been agreed upon in advance. Chex is ancient medicine. It decreases stress, improves mood and sleep, boosts immunity, decreases the risk of prostate cancer, and even delays menopause. For people who have a hard time finding a partner, like those with disabilities, mental health issues, trauma, and anxiety, hiring a pro can be beneficial.
So we typically think of females as the Chex workers, but there's got to be a significant portion of men that are also Chex workers.
Oh yeah, of course. It's about 20%, I believe, so it's still largely female-dominated to serve male clients. But yes, there are male Chex workers that serve female clients and also male clients.
So let's say hypothetically that, for the sake of a story, that I was going to quit my job and become a Chex worker, what would I expect my female clients to want from my services?
Men and women, we're just wired differently. It's a fact. I know people aren't gonna like that I'm saying that, but it is. And I think when men hire female Chex workers, for the most part, they're wanting carnal acts that maybe they can't get with someone else. Of course, this is a generalization, right? There are shades of gray, there's everything in between. But when it comes to females, I think what they would be searching for in a Chex worker of the opposite gender is something a little bit more like dating. And I only know this because I watch a really fun show called Slut Ever, and she does a whole episode where she goes out and hires a male Chex worker and kind of interviews him to find out what it's like. And women are largely looking for companionship. Of course, there is going to be an erotic element to it, but it doesn't necessarily have to go there. So I think women are looking more for companionship and something more like a date than just, being in the bedroom.
That makes sense, because I watched a movie from the 90s called The Wedding Date. Anyway, the story is this girl was going to a wedding, running back into old friends and stuff. She felt bad about her life, so she wanted to hire a guy to be her wedding date to make her look like she was doing well and impress her friends, and so she hired a male sex worker. And it was a good movie. It starred Deborah Messing and Dermot McDermott. What was his name? Dylan McDermott.
It's not Dermot McDermott. Starring Dermot McDermott.
This hasn't really turned out the way that I thought it would.
Deborah Messing, Dermot Mulroney.
I do find it really interesting that when it comes to transactional Chex acts, we have this huge stigma, because just look around. We seem to glamorize, beauty pageant queens who are walking around with barely any clothes on, Victoria's Secret models, you name it. You go on social media, it is so glamorized. And yet when it comes down to people that are actually exchanging acts of Chex versus just selling Chex as either an idea or a commodity, like a bra, then we have this weird view about it in society. I think if we lived in a more Chex positive society, we probably wouldn't have such a high demand for it, and people could be a little bit more normal and less weird about Chex. And when it comes to Chex work, there is a danger involved. And I think if things were more out in the open, you wouldn't have people hiding in the dark to where somebody that works in the Chex industry maybe gets attacked and they can't go to the police because their job is illegal, so they can't even protect themselves in that scenario.
Yeah, it's too bad that people in the Chex industry have to deal with just shaming in general from a certain portion of the population. Hopefully in the future we can have a more Chex positive society.
Yep. I hope you enjoyed this conversation about Chex work. If you did, please subscribe for more independent, unconventional news. Thanks for watching. I'm Brigitte.